Hello, and welcome to The Natural View. I'm Heather Wainer, the publisher and VP of Media of WholeFoods magazine. And today we're joined with our guest, Kyle Turk, Director of Government Affairs at NPA. How are you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
So Kyle, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So prior to joining NPA in 2020, I was with the Republican State Leadership Committee, which was responsible for down ballot Republican candidates for office. We specialized in lieutenant governor, secretary of state, secretary of agriculture, along with state senators and members of the individual state houses. And then prior to that, I was working for the deputy minority leader, Bob Singer, in New Jersey, where I worked as an aide for about 2.5 years.
Well, it puts you in a perfect position to work on our government affairs then.
Especially at the state level.
Yes. So we're lucky to have you fighting for us. There's a lot to discuss and a lot going on. And you've been very proactive in taking care of getting us to take care of all of it. And just thought we would be a good opportunity to educate everybody exactly what's going on and what we could do about it. So as we know, there's a few states that are giving us some problems. And do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. As people may know, there are about 6 states out there that are exploring legislative proposals to restrict access to dietary supplements in a number of different ways, most notably age restrictions. California and New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Missouri have all introduced proposals that mirror each other in some ways, but ultimately have some nuances within their legislative text that would restrict access to supplements. And unfortunately, we've seen New York and California actually pass these bills. So they are beginning to get momentum throughout the country and throughout their specific state legislatures.
Okay, well, it's still a bit disturbing to me because I do live in the state of New Jersey. And I went to school in Rhode Island, so not too happy about these 2 states. But of course, we don't want anything to happen to our dietary supplements as a whole. So if we can go in a little bit more, I mean, obviously, our goal and your goal is to take care of the retailer. So what could happen to the retailers?
Yeah, sure. And obviously, NPA has had a strong presence throughout its history of representing retailers, both big and small, throughout the country. Ultimately, what could happen is, they're either going to have to go online or they're going to have to come into compliance with some of the restrictiveness of these legislative proposals. In Rhode Island, unfortunately, that is the most restrictive piece of legislation that we've seen throughout the country. They're proposing to put all dietary supplements behind the counter and under lock and key. So if you're a small retailer, I would find it hard to imagine that you have the capacity to not only store these products, within your stores, but also to go and lock these products down. You're going to have more managers on the scene to be able to, sell these products, because only a manager is going to be able to have access to these products. So it's going to be a tremendous burden on industry, and specifically the retailers if these bills do become law.
Wow. All right. So we definitely do have to fight. So with that in mind, we also actually want to get into this first. What precedence does it set for dietary supplements as a whole?
Well, ultimately, what we're going to see is, consumers not being able to get access to 2 different products, right? So the way these bills are written across the country, unfortunately, it's not just going to be the weight management or sports nutrition categories that we see restricted. You're going to see your vitamin Ds, your zincs, and other, health and wellness products get restricted. And unfortunately, consumers are going to have a harder time accessing those products. And ultimately, with retailers too, those store clerks have a relationship with their customers. Sure. They talk to one another about what different products do and how they can, work together. And, what's the difference between between brands. So ultimately, retailers are going to lose that touch with their customers. And unfortunately, what we're going to see is more customers relying on e-commerce platforms to go out and get their nutritional products rather than going down to their local health food store.
All right, so that doesn't really bid well for brick and mortar at all.
No, not at all. And unfortunately, that's who's targeted here.
Yes.
While some of these legislators have said that, yeah, we're going to go after e-commerce platforms too, the fact of the matter is that's not going to be possible for them to do. They like to think that they'll be able to regulate the marketplace, but nothing in the legislative proposals has indicated that they'll have the capacity to do so.
All right, so we're fighting for another fight of our life. So what can us as industry members and retailers do about it?
So NPA has our Take Action Center, where you can write your legislators and let them know that you oppose these proposals. We've had over 10,000 health and wellness advocates reach out to their individual members in states that have proposed legislation to, obviously oppose these bills. So the more people that share and like our campaigns, the faster that this message gets to state capitals. So I would encourage everyone to visit our Action Center and write their members of their state legislative bodies.
Excellent. I know at Expo, we just came from Expo West, and that's where we started talking about this. You had given us some postcards that we were giving out at our booth, which have a QR code on it, and people could just scan that. Is that something that stores could have that they could bring it to their customers? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have ordered thousands of those QR code palm cards. I would like to thank you for having them out your booth, because since Expo, about 7,000 new health and wellness advocates have signed up for our campaign alerts. So people are beginning to get the message that, the dietary supplement industry and retailers in particular are under attack here when it comes to, rogue legislators trying to put dietary supplements behind the counter.
All right, well, we all got to band together and fight together. That's how we get things done. And then lastly, let's discuss, if we could switch gears a little bit. There's obviously been a lot of press lately, and you guys have had some press out there about mandatory listing of dietary supplements, and you obviously oppose this. And do you want to go into that a little bit more?
Sure. So FDA recently published their budget request for FY23, and it includes language in there that they're looking for mandatory product listing of dietary supplements. The FDA is under the impression that they don't know what's out there and that they can't regulate what they don't see. That can't be further from the truth. We've seen them time and again regulate the industry, and when they do what they're supposed to be doing, the regulatory body works really well. FDA is at its strongest when they're testing and inspecting facilities and products. Testing and inspection, unfortunately, is down by FDA. And we understand that COVID has played a part in that. But if they can start getting back into facilities, we're going to see them understand what's on the market and properly regulate. There are a number of instances where they've taken regulatory action against companies purporting to sell dietary supplements. And that's the easiest way for them to go after those folks.
Okay. Well, we got a lot on our plate. Is there anything else you want to add, or anything else that you want to bring to action to anybody?
Yeah, just want to remind everyone to go to our Action Center on npanational.org and write their members of the state legislative body, as well as Congress, to let them know they oppose dietary supplement restrictions, along with opposing mandatory product listing.
Okay. And do you want to just get that website one more time?
Yeah, that's npanational.org.
Thank you. Well, Kyle, you've given us a lot to think about, and we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time. And everybody, just go out there and keep fighting for our good fight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.